Welcome to another episode of BrapCast.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ashley Ackley, and this is the BrapCast. Tonight, we are here with Rebel Moby from the secret Cellar Moped Lair. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. Yourself?
Very good. I think we've all been wondering, where is the secret Cellar Moped Lair?
Well, it's located where I like to say Canada Land. Canada Land actually happens to be in between Ottawa, Ontario, and Montreal, Quebec, up in the Great White North.
Very nice. Kind of the undiscovered secret land.
Yes, out in the open.
So tell us a little bit about you, about the secret cellar, about what you do. I know you're a very, very big influence on the motorbike scene and very big in all of our American forums and Facebook pages and wealth and knowledge.
Well, I've been tinkering with all sorts of motorbikes, mopeds, scooters, trucks, cars, anything with a motor, really. Just about all my life, which is many decades. So that's basically about it. I don't really consider myself any more knowledgeable than anyone else. I've just had that many years to gain the knowledge, I guess.
I think at one point you told me you had figured out most of the ways to do it wrong, so now you can pass that on to.
Oh yeah, I think I've just about done everything possibly wrong, and learned from the experience, which is why I don't mind sharing with everyone how things have worked for me, so that they don't have to go through the same enjoyment of breaking things.
What made you want to get into mopeds? You said you've done all kinds of different automotive and tinkering stuff. What got you into these small bikes?
Actually, I found mopeds are attractive to me because I find them easy to wrench, tune, and modify. For the most part, you really don't need too many fancy tools and such to get yourself started. And most things you can cobble together yourself with common items and fix things with material available. Where I am out here in Canada Land, there's really not that many resources that are close. So you have to get things together with tape and baling wire and bubble gum and whatever else is handy sometimes. So I just find it convenient like that you can work on it with just common tools.
Very cool. That's very true. I know I've used stuff I've found on the side of the road where I've broken down to fix my bike a couple times.
Yeah, that's it.
But that's kind of the name of the game with French bikes sometimes. You do mostly French work, or are you digging into other stuff?
No, if it's got a motor, I'll swing a wrench on it. I think my preference is motorbikes, as everyone knows, and Peugeot, Alcyon, and a few others. But yeah, I seem to enjoy the Frenchies more than anything else. But I have wrenched tons of different brands and models.
Do you do any of the super hard race bikes like Solex or?
Yeah, actually, I have two Velo Solex in the barn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I love all sorts of bikes, and actually, because I realized many decades ago that I cannot collect all of them. I have to kind of share with the rest of the world, with the millions of bikes that are out there.
Tell that
So
to
I
some of
try
the
to.
Minnesota people here.
Well, I keep pointing out to people it's not an addiction, but some people want to prove me wrong. But yeah, now I'm trying to stick to the rule where I don't have duplicates. So if I have motorbikeins, then I just have to make sure that the next one I get is not a model that I already have.
Do you count
And so
colors?
that, yeah, colors included. I can't say just because I've got a yellow 50V that an orange 50V would be lovely to have, but then that kind of breaks the rules because that would be two 50Vs in the barn.
I've broken that rule already. I don't have this in this color yet. I'll take one of those. I want the
But
whole rainbow.
it's also dependent on availability too,
Oh
and
yeah.
actually most of my bikes they're all sympathy cases. They were trashed. They were beaten up pretty badly. Non-runners and that. I enjoy the challenge more than anything else.
Awesome. I imagine you've been through all of the barns within a 100-mile radius looking for goodies.
Oh yeah, I've picked up many a bike. I also pass on a lot of bikes when someone says, "Oh, I know this bike for you," and all that. And if it's something I've already got, then I'll pass it along right away to someone that I think would enjoy it. Try not to be too greedy with the bikes around myself. So
Again, tell that to some of the guys down here. I think they could use. I think they could use that.
yeah, well, realistically, I think every collector just needs to keep in mind that I only got one ass to sit on. So what's the point of having 30 bikes?
I like that.
Yeah, you can only use one at a time. It's all right if you have enough. So you could drive a different one each day. But maybe not each one each day of the year.
Oh God, there's a couple people in town here that would take you up on that challenge about you can only ride one at once. So apparently there's no shortage of bikes coming your way. What's been one of the more frustrating experiences that you've had with parts or bikes or just dealing with your location in general?
Well, I don't really find anything that frustrating anymore as far as bikes are concerned and parts. I've been playing around for decades with bikes and everything mechanical, going way back to, of course, before there was the internet. And back then could be very, very frustrating. If you needed a part from France, you would have to phone someone and ask if they have it available, and then mail them out the money and wait for the money to get there, and then they would send you your parts and let you know that the parts are on their way. So just a regular turnaround on a part could be 60 days, 90 days. So if your bike is parked because you're waiting for a part, that's a long time to wait.
Yeah, gosh, 90 days in Canada, that's the whole summer.
Yeah, that's just about the whole season. So a lot of the people with similar vintage to myself, they're pretty close to year-round riders. They'll ride until there's snow on the ground, and even after the snow started, if the roads are dry, they'll be out riding. Try to get as much as they can out of the season.
Definitely. Wow, you guys are a lot more warm-blooded than I am. Oh, let's see.
The only other thing I have now that is a bit frustrating is I'm starting to compile a lot of my information into some books, which just for myself, I set up my own schedule and deadlines to get sections of the books completed. And so I just end up frustrating myself because I tend to get sidetracked and I go off schedule very easy. So then when I look back and say, oh geez, you know, I was supposed to finish the section on porting by last week, and I still halfway through it and all that stuff. But that's kind of self-inflicted frustration.
So that could be considered one of the major frustrations. And I didn't know you were doing a book series. Is there
Yeah,
anything you can tell us about that?
well, I've already put together a couple of volumes of the book, and I've released some draft copies out to a few people, just to see if it's readable, actually, because it makes sense to me, but it might not make sense to the people that are reading it. So I've just sent out some feelers on that, and I feel pretty confident that that it's making sense. So I just have to basically now compile the first editions and share them around with the community.
That is awesome, and I will definitely buy them as soon as they are available. Are you comfortable with telling us a little bit about what they're about, some of the topics?
Basically what I wanted to do is build a primer for people so that if they're first coming into the lifestyle of enjoying mopeds, it's a starting point so that they can go from basically learning how to change a spark plug all the way up to figuring out a good port job and completing all of those tasks. And just like it is for me at home, I try to aim it towards people having minimal access to advanced tools and try to do as much as they can just with the basic tools.
I know that's kind of the name of the game is minimal tools and minimal funds with mopeds, so I'm sure that's very appreciated. I've looked at several how-tos before where it's like, okay, grab your official Motobecane circlip pliers and turn it this way. And it's like, nobody has those.
Yes, well, that's it. I've got some videos up on YouTube which seem to be well received, except for the crappy audio that's on it. My audio is way down. You have to crank up the speakers and almost stick them right to your ears to hear what's going on. But I always try to put together a video in real time so that you can get a flavor for the real frustration of actually doing the task, and try to do it with stacks of washers and random bolts and you know, just the basic toolage, so that people can see, you know, if they have to change motor mounts, let's say on 50V, that they're able to do it without having to order the special tool to pull out the old mounts and the special tool to install the new ones.
What is your YouTube channel's name for the people who don't know?
Surprisingly, it's Rebel Moby.
I never would have guessed. All right.
Yeah, just about everything in my moped world is tagged with Rebel Moby or Secret Cellar Moped Lair.
Very nice. Makes it easy for you to find, for everyone to find. So what else are you up to?
Well, my current moped-related project is building a simple dyno test bed. the moment the project's rather involved, because I want to document and video the build, so that other mopeders might be inspired to do similar, or try to construct their own dyno setup.
How's that going so far?
Well, right now I've got the plans laid out, and so I just have to try to convert the plans of building a dyno with factory-made dyno tools into something that can be cobbled together by just about anyone with various mechanical abilities.
Is it a magnet-based system or laser or?
It'll be going by weight. The inertia of the rollers to determine the horsepower.
Wow, I know a lot of us have mulled over how we would do something like that, because there is such a gap and such a lack of finesse with figuring out with today's tools how much horsepower you're putting out, and it's a lot of guesswork. So if you can get that well documented and done, I think you'll be a kind of a hero among the race world out here.
Well, actually, I do have a very effective method for determining horsepower that just about anyone can do now, and unless you're living out in the flatlands, and that's bring your bike out to the pretty evilest hill you can find, because horsepower will show itself when you try to go up that hill.
That is very true. I've got a couple of wicked hills right by my house here on the parkway, and yeah, you can definitely tell when it's not running as good as it did yesterday.
And I've already got calculated charts to help figure out, depending on the grade of the hill, how many horsepower you got going, based on the weight of the vehicle.
Wow, so you're staying busy.
Well, I didn't fall asleep during physics classes way back in high school.
So where do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you hope to have accomplished? Where do you hope the moped scene is in 5 years?
Well, 5 years from now, I'm hoping that the moped scene is basically the same as it is now, and some of the new people that are just getting involved will start to be the seasoned pros, and the people who are heavily involved now will start to be will become the mentors for everyone, and just keep going on that way.
That sounds like a really good future.
Yeah, I don't really see a plan, let's say, for myself or for Secret Cellar Moped Lair as having to follow a certain path, except for just trying to continue to encourage people to enjoy their bikes how they feel to enjoy them.
Perfect. Do you have any have you found any other cool stuff laying around? I use the automobile heater you sent me quite often in my workroom. I've got it set up and plugged in, and that radio is in my van and actually doing very good. I cleaned it all up and got new belts in it, and it sounds amazing.
Oh, the old Marantz.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent. That cost me a paycheck originally.
Oofda. Yeah, it's a good brand.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, that was kind of it. Yeah, I've been collecting treasures. Some people call it junk, but I've been collecting treasures all my life, and yeah, I got a few things kicking around still.
I think we're both on the same wavelength as to treasures. So I've no doubt someday soon I'll be sending more money your way for something that's just way too cool to live without.
Oh, something will pop up, and I'll just look at it and I'll go, you know, that would probably blow Ashley away. I got to show it off.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about or bring up, or did you want to give anybody a shout out, or?
Well, I guess the only type of shout out I feel that would be appropriate to give would be a shout out to all the new mopeders, people that are just getting into it, and um, I just want to say, don't be afraid to get very involved in your bike, and learn how to swing a wrench and everything. There's a lot of people that you know, they're looking for a bike, and then the next sentence that they type on the internet is the fact that but I don't know anything about mechanics, so it's got to run 100%, and la 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 la. It's not going to work like that. Get your hands dirty and start swinging a wrench and start knowing what's going on with your bike, and you'll probably end up getting more enjoyment than frustration out of it. At least it's worked like that for me for decades.
I think with mopeds, it's the highs and the lows. You get some of the biggest red cheeks, smoking ears you'll ever get from anything, but then you also get some of the biggest smiles, some of
Oh yeah.
the best times, the best rides, and the best people. When someone new comes in to Minneapolis here with a stock bike and they don't know much about it, they say, "Well, I'm not very mechanically handy." I just say, "Well, give it a week. Give it a week and you'll be twice as good as you were this week." Because
Oh yeah,
something's going to
absolutely.
break and you're going to have to fix it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, for an area where there's a lot of good people, such as Minneapolis, you know, there's a lot of resources to help new people along, which is great because you know, we've all started somewhere. None of us came flying out of the womb knowing how to port cylinders and what size carburetor to throw on and attach a killer pipe. We all learned it somewhere.
Exactly. And thankfully, if you mess it up, it's cheap enough to be able to afford another part.
Yeah, well, if something goes wrong, it's not horribly wrong.
In your profile photo, is that a Studebaker Hawk?
Well, that's a 1962 Rambler American.
Rambler. Okay.
Yeah.
I know I'm sure it's the same with that, but with my Corvair, it's $75 just for plug wires.
Yeah.
And for $75, I can buy a complete top end for a Puck.
That's right. That's exactly it. You know, a lot of people, they consider what they paid for the bike as being the total value of the bike, but the individual parts, of course, exceed the value of the assembly.
Several times over.
So a lot of people, they look at their bike and they say, well, I only paid $500 for this bike, and now if I kit it, it's going to cost like almost half the value of the bike. And it's not really like that, because you can't really tag that kind of value to the bike. It's because it's part of a lifestyle. It's part of the enjoyment. If you're happy to just do 30 miles an hour on the road, then that's fine. But if you want to go faster, speed will cost a little bit of money. But
not so much that it's not worth experimenting.
That's it. The most expensive head for any moped that anyone is riding is a lot cheaper than the cheapest head for any car, even if you're going to a scrapyard.
Exactly. By far.
By far.
Wow, well, thank you so much for calling me this evening and being on the show and telling us all about your projects and what you do and how you started. This has been really good for me here tonight, and I'm sure everybody who will be listening to this has been wondering about what's behind the avatar for quite a few years. So thank you very much.
It's definitely a pleasure, and I really enjoy doing anything that helps further mopeding in North America. It's a really good experience for me over years and years and years, and I hope it's the same way for everyone else that decides to get a nice little lightweight ride and see what they can get out of it.
Exactly. All right, you have a good night.
Okay, you too. Thanks.
This has been another episode of BrapCast. I'm your host, Ashley Ackley, and today we are joined by Rebel Moby from literally every group you've ever been in. Do you have a cruise shop or super rad mopeder you would like featured on our show? Tell us all about it on Facebook at BrapCast. Find our other episodes on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, and the Google Play Store. Until next time, stay happy and stay brappy.